answered. So here is our first ever question and answer video from Discussion of Birth. I got a ton of questions, more than I actually thought was going to happen. What are some red flags to look for when hiring a doula?
Any opinions on how you will feed your baby, whether you will circumcise your baby, whether you will have any kind of pain relief during labor, where you will be having your baby at? Any opinion
Are they
on a
asking
C-section?
those questions? Right. Are they asking those questions? Or are they telling you the answers? That would be all the things you just said. Did they just give you their opinion, or did they ask you, what do you want to do, mama? Like, what are you leaning towards?
That's what I would agree with too. Same thing. Those would be my red flags for hiring a doula, because they're not supposed to give you their opinion, and they shouldn't have any medical opinions either, because they're not medical.
You know, a doula is an emotional support person. Your best friend might be a better option, and you don't have to pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
True. Very true. I say the same. That's why I didn't hire one. I'm like, I'll have my friend.
You know, your best friend who's had a baby might be a better, I don't know. Yeah, they're supposed to be an emotional support person, and I don't know. Having been a doula, that's hard, you know, and yeah.
This person has a weakened pelvic floor from a vaginal birth that resulted in a 2nd degree tear, and they ended up using the forceps to try to get baby out.
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying, it looks like they've had pelvic floor issues that have contributed to a bunch of problems for the past 2 years. So they're asking, would this be something to consider with your OB, to just be planning C-sections instead of having more vaginal births?
I think it's something that could be up for discussion for sure. It depends on where she's at in her therapy. Is she seeing a pelvic floor therapist, like a physical therapist that specializes in pelvic floor? I mean, you don't want to create more trauma in there to undo the work that you've done, but I think that's something that she should discuss with her provider, you know, the risk versus benefit of both.
Especially, it sounds like she is talking about possibly wanting more than one more birth. So, I mean, with repeat C-sections, if she's already had a vaginal birth, that has to be weighed too, because the number of C-sections you have, there are risks with that as well. But it could be a very valid choice to schedule a repeat C-section.
Absolutely. And if she has a good healthcare provider, they should be able to direct her in the right way, you know.
Also, maybe finding out why the forceps were needed, and maybe, you know, positioning of the baby. It might not happen again. And I think, as far as like bladder issues and that type of stuff, is pregnancy related, not always birth related as well.
Just depends on the trauma, you know.
I actually been hearing a lot about pelvic floor, and I actually learned a couple weird facts about this. There's like 2 sides of the coin here. You have people that have like weakened pelvic floor, and then people that have too strong of a pelvic floor, and both of them can have actually issues with vaginal births. And that's actually something that I learned. So Ange, who I'm like, where are you, Ange? Because she would totally tell you this, but people that are like super athletic people that are like in the Olympics and stuff like that, when a woman gets pregnant, she ends up having to have a C-section instead of a vaginal birth, because her pelvic floor and her body is so tight, she can't actually like most of the time they end up needing a lot of help, medical help and all such. The body doesn't release like normally. So I've learned that's like an actual thing. There's like, you gotta have like a little bit of a balance in there. So something we hear more about is people with more weekends, more problems, like kind of leaky, like different issues. But then you have the other side of like, you're too tight and not releasing anything and nothing's going to come out. So yes, it's both sides, I think, are valid reasons to talk to a doctor about like what works for your body and what's going to work for future too. This is a mother that just currently lost her baby, and they are asking what's preferred, cremation or burial for a baby, like for losing a baby. And I think this is on your own personal preference and your own belief system. But I think this is somebody that's unsure of which one to do with their baby.
I've never lost a child. I've known people who have done both. is it Benny's baby? The teddy bear?
Yeah.
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 Amanda's.
Yeah. That one, that really appeals to me on a sentimental level, that if you've lost a baby and you've just basically never been able to spend time with it, hold it, come to know it, that it might be psychologically more satisfying to have the ashes put into a teddy bear to, pick up and hold from time to time. And I knew someone who had their child buried. It was a complications of extreme prematurity, and whatever you want, whatever you think you can deal with at the time. I mean, the thing about cremation is you can always decide later to put the ashes into a final resting place.
We did cremation just because it's a really hard and confusing choice, like especially when it right when it happens, and then it's like you have to make a decision, and what decision is the right decision? Like none of it's the right decision. You're supposed to be taking your kid home, you're supposed to be, enjoying your baby. And but we did do that just because I really was just really freaked out about thinking about burying my son in the ground. Like that was my own thing. And then later I thought what I wished I would have done, whether we cremated him or not, was I wish we would have done a funeral. So I wish there would have been some type of service. Maybe we did bury him and we did a service, like, or maybe we did cremate him, but we still did some type of service with the family, because I felt like we didn't do anything. And we basically just handed him over. He went and got cremated, and then that was it, because I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to decide to make those decisions and to do anything. And so I would say whatever's best for people, but know that you can do things later that you can kind of almost in a weird way change your mind, I guess you can say. Like once your baby's cremated, yes, you can bury your baby, you know what I mean? Or I don't know about burying your baby and then asking to have your baby cremated. I'm not sure if that is a thing or not, but I don't know how that works. But something that we are doing personally is, because we didn't do a funeral, and I always felt like we kind of disconnected from, you need that time with your family. You need that time. And we never did it. Never. All these years have gone by. So we're actually doing a memorial service for his next birthday. And what we're going to do is make a kind of like a gravestone placard kind of thing. So we're going to get one custom made and have that where I'm going to put it in my garden. That's important to us. It's our thing. And because I always felt like what bothered me over all these years is, when you have a graveyard and a stone in a place where they're at, you can go there. You have like this area that you can go, and, and anyone can go there, your family, your friends, anyone can go there. And I always felt like we just don't have that. And I do have all his ashes. Normally I'm wearing a necklace that actually holds his ashes. So we did do that, which is really, they do really cool stuff, even cooler stuff than when he died. Now they do even cooler stuff with what you can do with ashes for loved ones. It's amazing. But that's one of the things that we're doing, where we're kind of trying to do the best of both worlds, I guess, where we're going to do like a marker, because to me that kind of means something. But yeah, I don't think it's really whatever feels right, I think, and whatever you need to do and whatever you got to do in the future. But,
And I think
it's a
different
hard one.
religions also,
Yes.
what religion. So I think for some it comes easier because the answer's already there. But what you're saying about like ashes and things, I know I've seen it online, and I've also had family members use the services, but they do some awesome type of memorials, be it art, jewelry, pictures, like sand. It's pretty awesome what they can do with ashes, somebody's ashes. So if one decides to do cremation, there are a lot of options as far as that goes too, when or if you're ever ready to do that.
I like that stuff too. I've seen some of the art stuff and I'm like, those are awesome. Like they have such cool stuff. We got necklaces. Both of us got one that has a little bit of his ashes, and we have his ashes with us. And I haven't been able to do anything else with it over the years. I'm like, just keep him with me. But there's other stuff that we have, like, I guess you can say things that mean something to us that is a more of a memorial style thing. But yes, you can do a memorial anytime, because now we're going to do one. It will be 8 years when we go to do one with our friends and family and stuff. So
I think that's awesome. I mean, that you can do that. I mean, there is no time. There is no time limit for that. I also know a family member that has a very hard time. They did bury their child and they wanted to move out of state, but they felt like they could not leave, the area where she was buried. So that is also something maybe to consider, and something that they've, kind of addressed the regret of doing that, or, wish they did something different. And I can see how that can come into play. So those are some things that maybe take into, account, but at the time it's hard grieving, especially something that's, you didn't see happening. In those decisions, it's a lot of decisions to make, all very fast.
And that's a good point, because we did move and I felt glad that we could take him with. And I did get a big message, and I'm sure everybody probably seen this. There was a big message. She's seen one of our C-section videos. And so she wanted to tell others who may have been told that they need a C-section and are scared or nervous or think their doctor is pushing them to do it. Her advice is, don't be scared. She was in a group for natural births, but she was taking, it's a natural birth group that's for people that take blood thinners. I guess they have groups like that. She felt like that's what she wanted to do. She had no idea how dangerous it was. She happened to find the Safe Sleep group. So she was looking for someone that would do a home birth. And then she saw, I guess I'm going to assume my story, because she said your story. She said she's so glad that she listened, because she made an appointment with an OB gynecologist, and he listed everything wrong that could go wrong with a home birth and how dangerous it was. And because she was well monitored and the baby ended up being breech, and they were talking about a C-section anyways, she was really upset about it, but because it wasn't her plan. It wasn't her natural birth plan. She was scared, but then she went on to do some more research. So they set a date and did a C-section. But she said because of our videos, she felt very confident at the time with their medical staff and doctor. I followed everything my doctor mentioned. And because of that, my confidence in my C-section was very easy. And I was able to have my baby with no issues. I wanted to tell others that C-sections are not scary, and it doesn't take anything away from your birth. Honestly, I wouldn't want to do it any other way. It was magical. And I think that's what people are most nervous about, being taken away from a hospital birth. And then she just added, thank you so much for speaking out. It's so appreciated. And I can't thank you enough.
I've come up with a new concept that I'm like sticking to, like glued to, and that is, people are like, oh, I want my baby to choose their own birthday, and they want to have this magical birth and and it's like, you can still have your magic moment with the C-section. You just make it yourself. You take control, and you're like, okay, we're having a C-section. I want a magic moment at my birth, and I'm going to make it happen. There's some things you can do and some things you can't do. And the thing is waiting for magic to happen is just, well, if it doesn't happen, you have squandered that opportunity. If you want a magic moment, darn tootin', make it happen.
And I think it's awesome that these videos are helping, because like we were talking about earlier, I think everybody should be aware that a C-section is a possibility, because when you're prepared, or I guess when you're better prepared for when it happens. So it's not complete surprise. You kind of know what's going to happen. I know for my first birth, that was not an option. So when that happened, it was very scary. And just to know kind of the process or what would be happening would be amazing to know beforehand. So I think that's that's awesome that, you know, we were able to help her in some ways like that.
Where do each of you see this channel going?
I have no idea. I'm like, as long as people want to know stuff, I'll talk about it.
You know, I would like to see this channel just kind of take off and just shared more in birth groups, because I think it does help so many people left and right. I mean, just different perspectives, different stories. And, you know, it's not often that you can come on a channel like this and hear so many different perspectives, have doctors, have nurses, have, you know, a NICU nurse up here, and so many experts as well. So I love it. And I hope that it continues to grow and share and everything.
I've actually been thinking about this a lot lately because I have been so busy. We get on and film every week. And then I'm so busy through the week. I spend my evenings when my kid's asleep editing. And then I cut myself off at a certain time. And then I try to have some downtime before I go to bed. And I literally do that other than maybe Friday and Saturday night. So, I mean, you're looking at like, it's kind of like a job that I never thought. It's just random. It just became like, it's kind of what I do. And I really enjoy it. And so my family and like people around me, I guess, and Michael and stuff is all like, you know, what's going on with your channel? Because you're growing. And Adam is on YouTube, and then another brother of mine is on YouTube too. And they were like, you've grown a pretty decent in a short amount of time. And which I'm like, I'm very proud. Every person that ever subscribes or watches any video, I like, it just makes me so happy, because I'm like, you know, people are getting information that I know they're not hearing, because I hear about it. I actually get comments about like, I did not know that, or I didn't hear about this, or this is something new to me. So I love that. And I love, like, I have so many ideas. We talk about it all the time about how many different ideas and how many topics we want to do and so much stuff. And there's always things that are changing too. But I would love to keep going. And it probably wasn't until recently when I realized that I had over 100 videos. I was like, holy crap, there's over 100 videos on there. That's a lot of videos that, you know, like, I'm like, wow, I never imagined, because I remember just putting out like the first like 5 and was like, wow, this is a big deal. I put out 5. And then it's like, we've done so many since then, but it's like, I don't know. I don't see myself slowing down anytime soon. And I know, Ange, you get on with me all the time. We're like, we're doing this. Like, we are like in it. Like we really do. And we do so much stuff. And it's like, I really, really enjoy it. And I probably get maybe, I would say about, oh gosh, every other week. I want to say every other week, I get at least one message of somebody saying that they watched something, heard something, one of the videos, maybe it was somebody sharing their story or something that we shared about something. Maybe, you know, it was a doctor, maybe one of us, that they said something that stuck with them and it changes things for them. And that means a lot to me, especially where I came from, of like, I felt like very silenced. And I mean, look at how many people seen what happened to Gavin in real time online. You know what I mean? And it's like, if I can do anything, because I'm not like the other ones that are next to me that we have the same stories, but they don't have anything to show for it because their midwife wasn't all over the internet like mine. So it's like, I feel like if I can do anything, it's just keep going and keep letting people share, give them a voice, and keep exposing like what's going on, because I think we can't change anything if we don't ever talk about it. And we have had medical people, doctors and nurses reach out, send emails, send messages saying, I never thought of it in the perspective that you talked about with lost families, or, you know, with this kind of thing of how to treat people, even with NICU and different stuff like that. So it's like, we're reaching out to more than just people that are having babies. We are reaching out to people that are like, I never really thought of that point of view. And maybe they are hearing the studies in the hospital, but they're not seeing it without people being like, this is my experience. It's not like many of us go back to our OB and tell them about our birth experience. They were there, you know what I mean? Like, like nobody's going back and like talking about the different stuff. So I feel like when an OB watches it, or a nurse or somebody, or even just another doctor, it's like they're seeing stuff that is a different perspective than their own, because nobody's giving them feedback like that. They might write a bad review online or something, but nobody's actually talking about what could we do to make it improved. So I don't see the channel slowing down anytime soon, because I feel like there is a lot of people that really do enjoy the channel. We do have some really good, awesome support from a lot of people. Actually, I'm actually kind of surprised, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually surprised, but we get a lot of support, and I feel like I'm just gonna keep going with it as long as people are watching and listening, and that we're just gonna roll.